welcome to another episode of the Cartoonist Consultant. I'm Zoe Zuzu Cartoon Sug, and I'm trying a new recording setup, so I'm really happy to be back. I know it's been a minute since I've actually recorded anything, but finally I'm here with my Instagram deep dive part 2 for everybody. So despite this whole episode kind of taking a little while, I think it was sort of a good length of time to just sort of experiment. So I actually like the length of time that I took between Instagram deep dives part 1 and 2. This kind of gave me a lot of good space to kind of experiment, see what worked and what didn't, and so I have a pretty good report here for you guys. Hopefully between Instagram parts 2 and 3, I'll have a couple more episodes out, between the two. But I think a good, month or 2 months between these Instagram experimentation mad science episodes are probably a good length of time, because I can actually kind of sit here and experiment and kind of get back to you guys like what the best method is for all the different things that I'm trying, really. So I'm just going to kind of go down the list and answer to anything that I posted in the last Instagram deep dive, and then kind of share with you some stuff that I've tried that I thought of since I posted the Instagram deep dive the first time. The first thing that I remember telling you all was that the algorithm gives more priorities to like selfies and things with your face in them. So I really wanted to see what the effect was if I selfied more, tagged more people, did more sort of classic social media influencer type posts and sort of sneaked my comics into them. I have really only gotten a chance to try that maybe once or twice since then. One of the ones that I remember trying really soon after I recorded the first Instagram deep dive was when I went to Wasted Ink Zine Distro during the weekend that the Phoenix Comic-Con was going on. Now, as an independent cartoonist, I really gave up trying to make money at Phoenix Comic-Con. I had been going there, I think, for 8 years in a row, and over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, myself and really a lot of other independent artists and shops started to lose money there. We just kind of got lost in the middle of all of the, celebrities from Hollywood that were there, in the middle of all of the people that were busy, cosplaying and trying to meet certain celebrities or just get like cool replica items from some of their favorite movies. It's a really cool show if you're a nerd. And I am, I love walking around there and like seeing all of the cool stuff that they have to sell. But it's really not a great show if you're just there to sell original content. So the people that I know that do well at that show do fan art and then also sell original content, and they do pretty well. I also know a lot of people that just straight up do fan art at that show, and they do really excellently. I just don't really have the attention span to do fan art, quite frankly, so I really kind of dropped off. This was the first year in, I guess, what did I just say, 8 years, that I hadn't gone to Phoenix Comic-Con. And I was kind of bummed, honestly. I missed a couple of the people that were there, and, all my friends obviously were there, so, but, I didn't really want to, like, pay for a pass either. So what I ended up doing was, making use of my free weekend and just going down to Wasted Ink Zine Distro, and I met a bunch of really cool independent artists that day. I got to pick up some really cool new stuff from other locals, and it ended up being really profitable in a kind of different way for me. So I actually got my phone out to just kind of look at the stats on this particular post. I realized as I look at this that Phoenix Comic-Con is no longer Phoenix Comic-Con because of, all the copyright junk. So I probably should have been saying Phoenix Fan Fusion this whole time. I will try to remember that as we continue to go through this podcast. So I ended up dropping by Wasted Ink Zine Distro on the day of Phoenix Fan Fusion, and I ran into Chameleon with a K on Instagram and picked up a really cool zine on just like health insurance by Biff Bomb Bam Sock. That's all one word, obviously. That's just one user and they're also on Instagram, obviously. And so I got to tag. So I ended up getting to tag Phoenix Fan Fusion, Chameleon with a K, Wasted Ink Zine Distro, and Biff Boff Bam Sock. Did it, said it all in one word. And then I selfied along with Camille, and we got 66 likes. For comparison, my current Inktober posts are running at about like 30 likes. Now I am posting every day and it's all original content, but that's about double what my usual content is. So definitely the selfie advantage that the algorithm gives is, very real. And I would suggest you try it, but I don't know how well it translates to people taking action necessarily. I just ended up tagging, everybody who I was interacting with that day, as well as making sure that people knew I wasn't at Phoenix Fan Fusion. But I don't really know if I were to post that along with like a call to action, like, hey, go buy this zine, how well that would translate. Definitely something to experiment with, and definitely something that I think could be pretty well manipulated. I've really only had the opportunity to try to experiment with selfies about twice since I made the Instagram Deep Dive Part 1 episode. So we're just going to see how it goes. I will definitely kind of have to report back on that one. The second item that I remember talking about was participating in more hashtag games and just in general more challenges throughout social media, because I'm focusing on Instagram, of course, but Twitter is also pretty influential in the artist circle. You often see those hashtags crossing over. So obviously, it is in the middle of October right now that I'm recording this, and I am a big partaker, big believer in Inktober. Like seriously, I think it's going to get its own podcast here in a couple of weeks. I love Inktober. I get to meet so many cool artists. I get to see amazing work. It's really cool because generally we're all following the same prompt list. That's not quite true these days because you get people making their own prompt lists. You get offshoots like Goretober and Kinktober, so still really cool, and I still love seeing those posts, but it's not quite as universal as it maybe used to be. I am following just the generic prompt list from Jake Parker, actually for the first time in 3 years. Before I was following his prompt list, as well as a prompt list from Ochi Barochi, who was doing Witchtober. They're not doing that this year, and I'm actually trying to use Inktober to promote my new project, Quantum Hereafter. So it really just kind of worked out, and I'm following only Jake Parker's list and trying to figure out how his prompts might work into my characters. So in general, Inktober has just been amazing. I've met cool people, I've seen cool things. I love seeing how I interpret a certain prompt versus how somebody else might interpret a certain prompt. I was using build at one point, and combined build and shelter to, show somebody building a shelter. However, somebody else used build as in like building a relationship, and she had like her two original characters cuddled up on the couch together, and it was just so sweet and wholesome, and I loved it. Now, I will say that I really tend to promote Inktober because I just love it, and I get really inspired every October. I have maybe only gotten a couple more new followers, I guess, in comparison to what I would normally get. I mentioned the last podcast that I have around 500 followers at this point. I am currently at about 550, which is great, but like I'm not really getting a huge ramp. I still tend to see the influx of followers more from when I'm at an event than when I am doing a hashtag challenge. So I'm going to kind of see if there's a way that I can like quote unquote optimize my engagement with Inktober. We will see kind of how that goes, But in general, I love it for so many reasons, artistic and measurable talent reasons, as well as just, hey, cool art, right? So I highly encourage everybody to do Inktober and do dungeon drawing dudes and, whatever else that you find that, fancies you, absolutely do it. It's good stuff. I have not really found the social media advantage for it thus far, but I assure you it's real and I love it. That's kind of all I got for you guys right now. The last thing that I listed off during the Instagram Deep Dive Part 1 podcast was paying more attention to my business analytics. I do have a Business Pro account set up with Instagram. It wasn't any money to sign up, but I do pay money when I run like ads and things to point to my website. I've really only used it for that so far, but right now I am running a zine that is completely handmade, i.e. a giant pain in the ass to make. So I decided to just make 100 of them and take pre-orders. So like I'm promoting that ad right now for that pre-order. I really find my business account useful because it provides me with the ability to make ads when I want to make sure that all of my followers see something. It can kind of guarantee me a certain amount of reach. And I also like that they give you business analytics, but I really never use them, or maybe that's not entirely fair to myself. I should use them more often. It gives you amazing stats, such as like when your audience is online, how much reach you get, what your location and age demographics are. It's really, really useful. But I really was not looking at them as of Instagram Deep Dive Part 1. I kind of listed off the cool things I can do with it, but I wanted to pay more attention to it as I started to experiment more with different strategies for getting more attention and more traffic to my Instagram. So as I began to experiment more with my Instagram over the last, couple of months, I started to pay attention to those more. And it's interesting. It does give you really useful analytics, such as, like I said, location and age, because those are useful, right? I mean, I can straight up be like, hey, most of my audience is in Phoenix. Everyone who tags me is in Phoenix. I'm big in Phoenix, right? But not so much anywhere else. When I try to expand my audience to Seattle, I say not so much. That's honest. That's not genuine. Or maybe that's not kind, I suppose, to myself. I love my Seattle friends. I have a lot of contacts in Seattle, but as far as people who are checking into my posts every single day, it's mostly from Phoenix. Now, here's where it gets a little bit sticky, right? Because I'm a Phoenix artist. Of course, most of my business contacts come from Phoenix. That is all well and good. Where it gets a bit difficult to analyze with quote-unquote only 500 followers is I don't know how many of the people from Phoenix who are ratcheting up my view from Phoenix are also my friends, right? My friends are going to be more likely to like and comment on my stuff. I love my fellow, I guess I'll just sort of call it what it is, my fellow competing artists, but they are other professionals, right? And so they are just sort of less inclined to like your thing unless they already liked you, unless they, see something about the piece that you're posting that's essentially good. It's just, human nature. Our brains only have so much space for so many interactions. We're going to go with who we really know in real life first before somebody who is a quote unquote professional contact. So it's interesting, right? I have a lot of Phoenix reach. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that I'm actually good and appealing to Phoenix people, or does it just mean all my friends are in Phoenix? It's definitely something that I'm excited to experiment with as we move through October because, again, Inktober is happening, right? We'll get to that in a minute. I got later, but we'll get to that. I now have the ability to post any time of day. The best way to summarize is that I now have the ability to post any time of day whenever I want, because I'm scheduling. But as I said, we'll get to that. So what I'm hoping to do with Inktober is see, hey, do audiences engage more with a funny doodle, or do they engage more with something that is, fully painted and colored, but, maybe not heavy on actual content, less words, less concept? Or is my audience maybe more active at 7 p.m. at night? Conversely, if I'm trying to reach people that are in other states, is my best time, 4 p.m. because it's when the Arizona people have just gotten off work, but it's when the East Coast people are sitting down after dinner, 7. It's gonna be an interesting set of data. I am hoping that what I can do with Inktober is just basically throw content at the wall and see what works. Obviously, fan art will always do better. It's referencing something that a bunch of people already know and love, and my Inktober is going to be all original content. But beyond that, I'm going to experiment with times, style of piece, color, black and white, all of that shit. We're just going to see what happens, basically. I'm really excited for the ability to be able to track what happens and what, audiences respond to the most through my analytics account. So I don't know that I've really learned anything about my analytics account since the Deep Dive Part 1 episode, but I'm definitely going to be keeping a bigger eye on it because I have the ability now to look at how people are reacting to specific posts. So, for instance, one thing that I can actually tell you right now is that my audience is more active Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. For some reason, I'm not getting as much engagement on Sunday, Monday. Now, obviously, with Inktober, the goal is to post every day, but as I get further on into, different projects after October, I'll make sure to post all of my really important stuff on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? Sunday, Monday, maybe we leave the channel a little bit quiet for those days. Getting back to scheduling a post every single day, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about Later. Later is a website which lets you sign up with your social media accounts. I've only connected my Twitter and my Instagram so far. And what Later does is, I guess as the name suggests, allows you to schedule your posts. I knew it would be helpful. I didn't know it was going to be revolutionary. Holy crap, everybody sign up for Later. This is not a paid ad. I really like it. The first thing that I researched when I looked at Later was, is it safe? Because Instagram has had sort of a long and storied history of maybe not wanting to share all of its content with other developers. So a lot of the apps that work alongside Instagram, if it's going to share your post to a WordPress site or maybe, auto post things for you, it actually requires you to log in. And Later, I believe, does too. But actually, honestly, we may do like a whole tutorial video later. I don't know, TBD. We'll see if the Patreon allows it. So, safety was my number one concern before I signed up for this app. And so I researched it. I read maybe like 6 or 7 articles. All of them told me that it was safe. It's considered an Instagram partner. So that's somebody that Instagram has approved to, go in there and help you post. So I was feeling pretty good about it. And I went ahead and signed up because I figured, hey, if I ended up suddenly getting, 2,000 emails from a Russian bot, I tell you guys, huh? So I went ahead and I signed up. And what it does is it lets you sign up for free. And you get so many social media posts scheduled per month. Honestly, I may run out by the time October finishes, but that's only because I'm making like a daily 31 posts. I don't remember what the limit is off the top of my head right now, but if you are, like most artists, really only posting when you finish a piece, you'll be fine. It's like basically 20 or 30 per month, so you're good. And you can sit down, just throw on some YouTube in the background and sit down some week a day night and actually schedule out what time exactly you want this app to post to Instagram for you. So no more alarms on your phone. No more trying to go, it's Saturday at 10 a.m. I get a lot of traffic at this time. All right, I gotta remember. And then, inevitably it's 12 p.m. before you actually do remember and look at the clock. Oh, I've missed it. Because that's the other thing, too, is what I've noticed on my business account is that when it says your audience is most active between, say 9 and 10 a.m., it does mean 9 and 10 a.m. And the moment that like 10:20 rolls by, no one's online. So the analytics are very true. Sadly. And, I would try to post stuff and I would always miss it. So Later actually lets you sit down and you can schedule, as far out as you want. I've gone 3 weeks out. I have not, I don't know if anyone can like log in and break Later for me, but I haven't really found any problems with trying to schedule pretty far out. So the first thing that I really like about it is that it lets you upload media files directly. So if you just finish something in Photoshop, you can just save it to your desktop and upload it right into the website. If you're on the go and you take a picture with your phone, you can also get the Later app and upload it right into Later. So you don't really have to sit there and like reformat things or right now I have a Samsung phone and an iPad that I actually draw from. So everything gets transferred through Dropbox. It has to get saved on the device, imported to Dropbox, downloaded, and then resized. It's not fun. So Later you can just kind of throw everything in the app. It does it all for you. It lets you edit. It lets you post from there. You can't post multiple images as far as I know. I think that's a paid feature. But, that hasn't really stopped me for Inktober so far. It's just allowed me to sit down, maybe Saturday night. Wow, I just realized Saturday night's very telling. You can tell that I'm currently recording this podcast on a Saturday night. Cartoonist, we don't go out. Whatever, it's fine. But yeah, you sit down on some night, and you can just sit there and schedule out, the next week and a half of posts, and then you don't have to sit there and be worried about, am I going to miss my primary time zone where everybody's going to engage with this piece? Am I going to waste time drawing something for every single day of Inktober and then be too busy to remember to post? I really like Later. It straight up changed how I'm able to engage with my social media. I love it. I highly recommend you get it. I'm using the free trial right now, and I see no reason to have to upgrade so far. And honestly, if you're big enough to where you need to upgrade, do it, right? Like you can do that. You're a big artist at that point. So that is sort of the main reason why I wanted to upload this podcast, when I did. Inktober is really helping me keep track of my analytics. It's really helping me keep track of what later can do for me. I love it. I think that it's a great time right now to experiment because we're making so many posts. At the time of this recording, we're like a week into Inktober, maybe. So, absolutely, get out there and do it. If you're thinking about doing it, get out there now and do it because it is, at the bare minimum, a great ground for experimenting with your art and your audience. And, at most, you get a couple new followers out of it and you get a lot of inspiration. So, I, as I, realize that I've been ranting about Inktober for most of this entire podcast, I realize that I'm going to have to do a second podcast about Inktober. I love it so much. I don't know if it's the recovering goth girl aesthetic, or if it's just how much I love Halloween, or if it's actually all of the really cool business opportunities that I get from Inktober, or if that's just rationale. I don't know. We'll figure it out, though. I love Inktober, and you should do it if you're not. Absolutely. Also, goddamn, I talk fast when I'm excited. I am sorry, you guys. I'm trying to work on that for you. Alright, so one final really cool thing before we wrap up here. Instagram stories. I think I'm kind of late to the game on this one, honestly, because I follow a lot of cute YouTuber Instagrams and hamster Instagrams and, just cute influencer type people who are, I think, a little more on the ball than us artists. But I finally hopped on the Instagram story trend, and I'd been doing this for maybe a couple of months beforehand to post things that were just, general life stuff. Like I would post a running, maybe week-long series of stuff on, comics and paintings that I was doing, but then the Instagram story would be reserved for hey, I'm at my sister's salsa dancing party. This is really cool. Here's a video, all the personal stuff. But as soon as Instagram let us bookmark stories to our profiles, I think I realized the potential there, but I was almost, intimidated. Like, what do you want to pin onto your profile forever? So currently all I have up there is a story about the Cartoonist Consultant podcast, kind of links people over to the website, tells them a little bit about what it's about. It's pretty basic, but I think I could really, really use it and it could be really helpful. Definitely for me, because I work in so many projects simultaneously, right? My Inktober posts are all about Quantum Hereafter. I just launched a zine that was a tie-in with the morning routine story that I published in Hellcat Press's anthology that just finished kickstarting. And of course, I'm here doing the Cartoonist Consultant podcast. So it's a lot. I do a lot. And I think these stories could do a really good job of kind of directing people who want to know more about who the hell I am and what I do to all of the right places to go kind of see that work. I'm really excited to use them more. Like I said, right now I only have the one that's up. But what you can do is you can make a good, 5 or 6 themed story posts and then pin them to your page. So if you go for me, when someone goes to my profile page, they're going to see all of my projects that are categorized into its own story. Now, obviously, not all artists are going to be, doing 8 projects at the same time because you're probably more sane than I am. But, I have a lot of artists that do fan art and then they also do original art. And so they'll separate those into 2 separate categories at their Comic-Con booth. I think you could do basically the same thing in your Instagram story. So I'll probably update you guys as I do more of that. I really just sort of like the look of it right now, but I need to do more. So I will kind of keep you posted, but it's a really good idea, I think. I've seen, like I said, other profiles use it that are not cartoonists, and I plan on using it to showcase my different projects, but I think there's probably a myriad of ways that you all could use it if you're not somebody who has a bunch of different projects going on. So that about wraps up my pointers for Instagram, or at least what I'm experimenting with currently. I'll definitely update you on kind of where my analytics goes, where my story posts go, all of that good stuff. Definitely, if you have experimented with this already, please let me know. Like I said in the last podcast, the more information we have from more people on more varied subjects, the better. So I'm really excited to hear from you. Definitely tell me what works for you, what does not. And I will talk to you very soon. Okay, everybody, this has been the Cartoonist Consultant Podcast, and thank you for listening. Oh, one more thing. The Cartoonist Consultant Podcast has recently opened a Patreon page and a YouTube channel. And of course, we're already a podcast, so we're on SoundCloud. I don't really know how long it'll take us to get, on other channels. But if you like us, please subscribe, please comment, please let me know, what I'm doing well, what I'm not so much doing well. Let me know your thoughts, let me know things that you've already found. I just super want to hear from you. So please go subscribe, like I said, YouTube, SoundCloud, and very soon a Patreon page. All right, thank you so much. And okay, I'm going away for real now. Bye!